Hi, welcome to Tea Time with Jen. Grab your tea or your coffee and let's chat. Okay, still peppermint, but I added chocolate protein powder and it kind of turned it into a latte, but it's chocolate mint. Very good, and it's got protein, which I need lots of protein to get this body better and preparing for surgery. All right, let's talk about. I think today's topic is the power of the pity party. So I feel really strongly about this. I think if you go back in my hundreds of videos, and certainly during my lymphoma, I talked about the pity party in some of those videos. I tried to do a search. Maybe I'll keep looking. And if I can find it, I'll share it with you. But I really feel very strongly about it. Overall, I'm a fairly positive person, and I kind of take all of these experiences, life experiences, and roll with it and get the work done for myself, for my family, when I'm sick or when anybody else has issues. But I think that as a society, and maybe this kind of touches on a lot of people talk about toxic positivity. I would argue that I don't have toxic positivity. I'm not always positive, and I am positive with a grain of pragmatism. Like, I recognize what the overall, I look at the statistics, I talk to the doctors, I read up. I'm a very educated patient for myself and for my family. And so I'm never going in there going, everything's going to be fine. I'm looking, well, the percentage is 85% or 92% or 70% or whatever the thing is. And, I can be positive and try and hope that I'm in the 70 or the 80 or, whatever that percentage is. But I recognize that there's the other side of the percentage is there, and I could be part of it. So I don't believe that I'm toxically positive. But back to the topic. Boy, that was a big tangent. I'm sorry, guys. I really believe strongly in the power of the pity party. And I guess let me kind of, and I think I touched on this a little bit, probably last week or the week before, and where I said I thought that I had, unbeknownst to me, I had a multi-week pity party, and typically that is not my style. For me, the pity party takes a few days up to a week, usually a few days, but up to a week. And it's where I wallow in it. I feel the feels, and I think that's important. You have to feel the feels. It's not realistic to always feel good about what's going on around you. Certainly, as a cancer patient, there's always this window you're all familiar with as patients or family as caregivers, between when somebody tells you you have cancer and then the next step, which is what are we going to do about it? And sometimes that's just days, but many times it's weeks, sometimes more than a month, which seems absolutely mind-boggling from the perspective of they just use that C word. You have cancer. So that's an emergency. We need to get on that and do something about it. How could it take weeks to figure out what to do? That kind of thing. But it happens. I've already shared with you all that I've been diagnosed 4 times with cancer, and each time was a little different with how that progression went. But every time there was a period between when a doctor said, you have cancer, and another doctor, usually my oncologist, sometimes a surgeon, said, okay, this is what we're going to do to fix this problem, right? And certainly in that time, there's lots of stress and anxiety and worry. And you have to be, at least speak, and again, I'm speaking for myself. In my experience, I'm simply sharing my experience with you. The temptation is to do as much research as you can. The internet is a wonderful thing nowadays. You can look up nearly anything, but within a grain of salt, right? So if you're not good at interpreting the data, I guess you don't want to get stuck. Oftentimes in that window, you only have partial information. So, for example, last round when I had lymphoma, for 2 or 3 weeks, they were telling me that it was probably, some doctors were saying probably metastasized ovarian or breast cancer. Other doctors were saying absolutely not. It's not that, but we don't know what it is. right? And then we got to it's lymphoma, but we don't know what type of lymphoma it is, so we don't know how to treat you because there's many. I think there was over 50 types, 60, I forget now. A lot of types and subtypes. So it's like you have this type of lymphoma and then this subtype, and the value of knowing the exact subtype is that the treatment can be very specific and more targeted and more successful. So we got to you have lymphoma. To a week later, when we really didn't have more data, we were going to schedule more things. We did have a couple more tests, but we didn't get a lot more data to do that subtyping to figure out treatment. I'm digressing here. Sorry. Brain. Basically what happened for me, which doesn't happen for everyone, in this particular case was I went another 10 days maybe, and my calcium elevated beyond safe ranges that would like make your brain altered and other things. And that's that's kind of a byproduct of the cancer. Like when the calcium elevates like that, they know that, the cancer is really going wild. And then there was also other cancer markers that show that I was pretty sick. I didn't feel horrible, but I was pretty sick. Some pain. And my doctor was like, you have to go to the hospital and start treatment right away. And we're going to go in with the strongest lymphoma treatment we have. We know that you have diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, DLBCL, it's called in the vernacular. We didn't know any subtypes there, but we knew that much. And that was enough for us to figure out the strongest treatment that could go with the treatment. And that's what we did. And then as you know, still no evidence of disease from lymphoma. In any case, back to I've digressed from my topic again. So during that time period when you're everything's scary and you don't know what's going on, it's a good time for a pity party. After you get the plan, it's a good time for the pity party. So here's an example. When I had breast cancer the first time, after we figured out what was going on and we got the plan, then there was a pity party. There was cancer sucks. There's no way around it. And I'm going to lose my breasts to this cancer. And is it going to make me less feminine? And all the things, all the feels. So there's certainly time periods for pity parties. But the thing that I've always kind of maintained personally, I have my pity party. I grieve when I need to grieve. I rail at the world. What the heck? And why am I doing this? Why do I have to do this again? This is horrible, yada, yada. And then I let the pity party go because I need to focus and direct my energy towards fighting, towards surviving the treatment. It's not an easy dealio. The treatment is often worse than the illness, in my opinion. And then, and if I'm diverting some of my energy towards that pity party, I can't do that thing, right? And so for me, I feel pretty strongly that the pity party needs to be time bounded. You can have multiple pity parties, right? But they should be and I also think it's really important to have the pity party, to feel the feelings, to state the things, to grieve your losses, to argue, to yell, to scream, to cry, whatever you need to do to get the thing out. I don't know if any of this makes sense, but I feel pretty strongly about that's the way to do it. And because then that allows you, and I guess I'll also tell you that my husband is a transplant patient, and I've used the same methodology as a caregiver, right? It's horrible. It's scary. It's why us? Why is it happening to the love of my life? You have the pity party, but then you got to let the pity party go so I can focus on caregiving, to be the strongest patient advocate that I can be so that he can have the most successful outcome. But yeah, were there more than one pity party along the way? Absolutely. Lots of obstacles on that journey. But it just feels strongly that you should give yourself permission to have the pity party, but recognize that it can't go on and on and on. Almost like... I think it's Gretchen Rubin. And I think on her podcast, and definitely in her podcast, maybe in a book, I can't remember. She recommended if you're somebody that just worries all the time, has a lot of anxiety, if worries. If you're just a worrier, worry about this, worry about that, that you every day schedule a time to worry. And then the rest of the day go, nope, I got to do that during my scheduled worry time, right? So you don't lose your whole day worrying. I remember my grandma was a worrier. She used to she had like some nervous things and she would worry sometimes. And I thought it was a really interesting idea. I didn't hear this podcast till after she had died, but I thought it was kind of a cool idea to schedule your worry. And that's essentially what we're doing with the pity party. We're scheduling all our angst and worry and upset. I don't even know what other words to use about whatever's happened to us. In my case, cancer diagnosis, or, my husband's, transplant journey, being the caregiver and the impact on me, on the family, on him, on the risk of losing him, all those things. So you have those pity parties. And then I got to get to work. Now, and that's not to say you can't have another pity party. You certainly can. So that's kind of where I'm at on the pity party. What do you think about pity parties? Do you think it's a good idea, bad idea? Do you think you should just do, kind of maintain the pity party along with whatever you're trying to accomplish? Or the compartmentalization, is that helpful or not helpful? That's the way I do it. Maybe it'll be helpful for you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. Be well.